All right, people, welcome to the Mindful Attraction podcast, where today we're going to be talking about the 48 laws of power. Law number three, no, law number four: say less than necessary. In this podcast, I go over I go over the books of Robert Greene's books, particularly the 48 laws of power, and I teach you guys how to apply it in your life. So I'm gonna teach you guys a practical aspect of these laws, because a lot of people read them and understand them, but they don't know how to apply it. Even worse, they think it's useless. So I'm gonna show you guys how to apply it and how to use it, and how to use it to actually improve yourself in dating and just generally. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing, and it says, I'm quoting: "When you're trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more calming you appear, and the less in control. Even if you're saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish." Now, this is something that is very common that you see. It's particularly when people are trying to impress you. They believe that in order to impress, they need to say more. They believe that in order to to gain people's favor, they need to put more content out. They need to say more things. That's quite the contrary. What tends to happen is that when you believe you are worth it, when you believe you're worth as an individual, you're gonna notice that there is a less desire to talk about the cool things about you. You see, powerful people know they're in control. They feel they're in control. Even better, powerful people don't are outcome independent to the point that they don't mind that you don't know certain things about them. That they don't mind that you don't know the cool things about them, because they know their worth. They know their power. All right. So if you're noticing that you're always constantly trying to impress people, you're constantly trying to gain people's favor, you're constantly trying to change your image, you're constantly lying simply to change the way people perceive you, there's an underlying issue with self-worth there that you should definitely become more aware of and bring more consciousness to. All right. Now, Robert Greene says, if you're unable to control what you say, it only means that you're out of control and people lose respect. It's kind of similar to like when parents when parents threaten you to punish you, right? And you say that because of anger, not because you're actually going to do it, but because you're just reacting to the situation. Children lose respect for you because they notice that as soon as you get angry, you make threats. So what's going to happen is that because you can't control your mouth and you keep talking out of emotion, the kids that you have, they're not going to respect you, because they know you're just being emotional. People who are emotional who cannot control their mouths, usually are not respected. And if you cannot control your mouth, then the Bible says that out of the abundance of the heart speaks the mouth. So that means that if you cannot control your mouth, that means there is an underlying disturbance that's going on inside of you, that you're using talking to relieve the tension. And so that means, once again, you need to go and bring self-awareness to what's going on inside of you, and ask yourself, well, I wonder what's going on inside of me. At this moment, am I trying to feel better? Because usually the tension that you're trying to relieve through talking and trying to impress someone is a dissatisfaction with yourself. So as soon as you become aware of your own dissatisfaction and observe it, that compulsion to impress people with your words will leave. The more you rely on words, the less powerful you become. Be known for your actions and not your words. Be known as someone who acts rather than someone who talks. Be known as someone who doesn't talk about their intention so that people can interpret you. When somebody knows that you're someone who acts rather than talks, they know that at any moment things happen. You see, because if you're someone that just talks and talks and talks, people can prepare for you. But if people know that you take action not without thinking, but rather you take action without a moment's notice, that you're more random per se, people will always be on their guard. So you got to learn to be someone who takes action. That means don't make any false threats. If you're going to do something, don't say it before you do it. Do it first. If you're going to interview someone, don't tell them you're going to interview them. Invite them for an interview with an RSVP. Because I'm just saying that a lot of the times we love making promises, but we don't take the action. You see? And when you're known as someone who just makes promises without action, people are not going to believe in you. People are not going to take you seriously. People are not going to see you as someone who's professional. So say less. Stop making promises. Stop relying on promises to bring people to you, and start relying on your actions to bring people to you and to bring their trust. Don't rely on words to gain trust. Rely on your actions. To make your words powerful, say fewer. You become more valuable pound for pound. This is the thing: is that when you're someone who's known for not wait, when you learn how to distill your words to the minimal to the minimal amount that's necessary, pound for pound, your words are gonna be more valuable. For example, if there's a friend in the group that hardly talks, if somebody hardly talks, as soon as they talk, people listen more because that person hardly says a word. If somebody, if somebody is rare, for example, I started doing this when I started learning how to talk to girls, right? Something I noticed is that I will make the girls laugh. I learned how to make girls laugh, but it wasn't leading to dates. Like I was making them laugh, but it never led to actual dates, right? So what did I begin doing differently? I said to myself, okay, so if they're not going out with me, then rather than trying to say things to make them like me, let me just say less. So when they ask me a question, what do you do? I would actually find ways to not give them a direct response. I would say, they would say, what do you do? I work with children. How about you? You see, or they would say, so where are you from? I would just give them a look like come on, you should know where I'm from. Like that look of like really, you're gonna ask me that question, right? I learned how to communicate. I learned how to communicate without words. So what began happening is that people began to interpret me. I began teaching people how to interpret me. And so people began thinking more around me. So for example, they would say, so what do you do for a living? Really? Well, you could say that I work with people. You see, that saying that as a vague answer, right? So what's going to happen? The laugh, the subtle pause, and the vague answer makes you do what? What do you mean? What do you mean you work with people? What do you mean you do this? Like elaborate on it. And so what you could do with that is, as soon as they ask an elaboration, rather than answering the question, you say, before I tell you, what do you do? And they were like, oh, I just do this. How long you been doing that for? Now you see what's happening here. There's a source of curiosity in the person's mind because I didn't answer the question directly, but also I redirected the question to them. So now they're thinking. So underneath their conscious thought, there's a curiosity about me. You see, there's an underlying curiosity that they have that they don't notice it, but because it's at a subconscious level. So what's happen is that curiosity becomes transmuted in natural interest in me. This doesn't happen often, but this is done through learning how to say less and allowing people to interpret you. All right, let's see. The absence of words leads to silence, which leads to the void that humans will want to fill. Humans are curious, so it's normal. They want to interpret your actions and intentions. You see, that's what humans want. They want the puzzle that you provide. If you don't become a puzzle, then they're going to look for a puzzle. They're always trying. See, what makes a basketball like a video game interesting is not the video game itself. It's the difficulty. It's the uncertainty that you don't know what's happening, what's going to happen next, right? And also you don't know if you're going to win or you're not going to win. So what makes things fun is actually the mystery. You don't know what's going to happen next. And so you create that through learning how to say less, learning how to keep your words compressed and compacted. And that comes through first regulating yourself. And that first comes through making a mental effort to say less. This is something you practice. Like, I'm serious. Like, you got to practice it. You got to practice saying less. Because when you practice saying less, it sort of gives you like a different aura to you. Like you feel more powerful when you say less because you know that you have more information that you could provide, but you choose not to. The holding back part, the ability to produce an effect, but then taking a step back and consciously not wanting to put it out there, gives you a different aura, gives you a veil of mystery when you do that. It's kind of like knowing that you have $1 million for a person, and knowing that you're gonna make them happy, like 5 minutes from now, but not saying it. It gives you like a subtle confidence, a subtle like. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know that I have something so good for you, right? And so when you have that, it permeates your whole aura. You know what I'm saying? And again, like it even goes down to dating, where you don't want to. You wanna say less in terms of what you want with the person, your intentions. You don't want to say too much about what you want, that you want in a relationship. Like you want to act like that you are unsure, that you don't know. You want to act inconsistent. You want to act like you like them, but at the same time you don't, so that they become curious and so that they could want to fill in the puzzle and find out what do you want. Because they're the uncertainty is what makes them like I don't like this. I don't like not knowing. You're gonna have to let me know. So show me, what do you want from me? And the desire to find out from you is a form of investment that creates attraction in people. Learn how to use short answers from time to time, including short answers. So learn how to use short answers from time to time. For example, when somebody texts you, "Oh my God, I just had an amazing day," rather than you responding with your own day, because when you like someone, you usually have the tendency to want to respond a lot, because you like them. You want to have a good conversation with them. The problem though is that you tend to put too much out there. Talk too much. You tend to talk too much. So what you have to do then is, rather than trying to talk a lot and trying to give out too much information because that's what you feel emotionally, take a step back and realize saying less is more. So then practice just giving short responses. So when they say, "So what are you up to?" You don't want to know. LOL. See, rather than saying what you're up to, say you don't want to know. LOL. And so that they can say, "What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?" And then taking a while to respond to that. Now there's a cliffhanger. Now they're like, "Oh fuck, what's going on? I want to find out." So you intentionally create the mystery, but the first thing is learning how to emotionally regulate yourself. Because if you can't emotionally regulate yourself, you won't be able to apply it, because you just feel the compulsive urge to respond. So including short answers fills it with silence, which is another void humans will try to fill in. So this will lead to more interpretation and mental investment to try to understand you. It opens you up to become more curious about them. Including silence also forces people to reveal their intentions because they're trying to fill a void. For example, if someone says they hate New York City, rather than asking a follow-up question, stay silent and look at them like, "I don't believe you. Look." People will elaborate and react to you. For example, it's kind of like saying, let's say this is one person, and let's say this is another person. One person, "I hate New York City." The other person, and see what happens now, right? It's kind of like me saying, "I don't believe you," and it forces the person to respond. It forces the person to actually to have to elaborate. So what does happen? Rather than the other person saying, "I love New York City." "Oh, for real? Come on, man. You don't like New York City? Why?" Now, can you see that even though I talked about it, right now, there is a big difference. I mean, it says about the person if they don't care to actually respond, but rather they just look at you like only a powerful person does that shit. And people feel that pressure. Another one will be, for example, if somebody asks you, if I tell you, "So what do you do for a living? So tell me about your job," right? You may see, for example, you might say, "I do this, I do that," right? You just say, okay, cool. "Oh, for real? Nice, that's dope," right? So that's nothing wrong with that. But then try this: when you ask them, "So what do you do for a living?" and they respond, right? While they're responding, don't say nothing. Just go like this. Try it right now, right? Try it right now. Seriously. I know I'm on camera or on the mic, but just try it right now, right? I'm going to ask you, "So what do you do?" Mm-hmm. Like the whole, mm-hmm. And if they pause, you just keep going, right? The person feels the pressure to talk. Try this with somebody else. Seriously, it's kind of funny to see it. But that's what usually happens. The pause and don't say nothing while they're responding and nod. It forces people to talk more. And when they talk more out of insecurity, it causes people to reveal things about themselves that they would have otherwise hidden if they wouldn't have felt that pressure. Want to be paid attention? Say less. Those who talk a lot are not paid attention as much as those who say less. So a simple way for people, if you're noticing that people don't listen to you and you talk a lot, then that means you gotta say less. Again, remember that when I talked about how when there was a point when I was talking that I could make girls laugh and all that sort of stuff, but they wouldn't really stick to me. They'll go out with me, but they wouldn't. No, they'll give me the number, but they wouldn't really they wouldn't really want to continue seeing me, right? So what I would do then is I said to myself, okay, let me just do the opposite, and I would say, all right, let me just say less, and I literally made the concerted effort to say less, and it really worked. My energy was lower, I was more relaxed, they paid attention more, literally by saying less. And I felt the compulsion to say more, but whenever I felt the compulsion to say more, I would breathe into it and relax and say much less. And this is only for people who talk a lot. And if you, this is, it's a huge difference. I'm telling you, like, make the effort to say less. Even better, make the effort to not say the cool things about yourself. You know it's cool, but don't say it. Why? Because when you know you have something cool to say about somebody, but you don't say it, it gives you like a subtle confidence that you know at any moment in time you can bring that up and you can impress them, but you don't. So rather than that energy being directed at talking, that energy is directed at building your confidence and building up your aura of confidence. So when is it unwise to not talk? When is it unwise to say less? Because there's always a moment for everything, and this law, it does not apply to every situation. So this does not apply when you fucked up and you need to explain yourself. Like when you know you fucked up at a job, right? And you were late to work. Saying less is not gonna work. Saying less is gonna get you fired. You know, like if you fuck up and then people are demanding an explanation from you, you gotta give it. Another one will be when it's a superior, when somebody like your boss or your parents, like when someone is a superior to you, which is to say superficially, like they're someone who hired you and whatnot. Those people you don't wanna do that. All right. When you have little value, like when you're new at a job and you haven't proven yourself, or when you're new in a relationship and you haven't proven yourself. When somebody says when somebody asks you a question, you wanna be honest about it. You see, when people, for example, if you're a freelance web developer, right, and somebody wants to work with you, you want to put the effort to impress them and talk about the good things you have, because you have a little value. They don't know you. They don't trust you yet. Another one would be when you're being accused of wrong action that reflects upon your reputation. Reputation is a cornerstone of power. Reputation, right? If you have a bad reputation, everything will be shitty, right? It's kind of like a basketball player. If you're known to be a good shooter, by just going like that, like you're gonna shoot people who just jump, you're just gonna react. But if you have a reputation of being a bad shooter and you act like you're gonna shoot, you know what people are gonna say? Open for a reason. Go ahead, shoot. I don't care. So your reputation as a shooter makes people react to you more. So your reputation as an individual, when it's being accused, your reputation, which is your cornerstone of power, you don't fuck with that. You defend that. You defend that reputation of yours. So when someone is accusing you of something, you don't go too far, but you don't say less. You don't apply this principle to moments when you're being accused of something that's vital and important to your reputation. You see, so if you're known for someone who cheated on someone and you have that history, you don't want to say less, man. You want to explain yourself. Negotiation is all about leverage. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's it, man. Anyways, this is Alex from Mindful Attraction Podcast. I'm gonna be, if you guys are listening to this through the YouTube, I'm gonna be uploading this on the podcast. You guys are gonna get the link below to get the podcast, and if you guys are watching this through the Spreaker, you guys are gonna be able to see it on YouTube. Just go to Mindful Attraction on YouTube and you'll see me. Anyways, the next one I'm gonna be doing chapter 5 tomorrow. I'm hoping I can do chapter 5 tomorrow because I've been slacking on it, right? And I'll see you guys some other time, and take care. Bye bye.